Gals, Froggy here. This is replacing the fuel pump on my 2002 Suburban. I've got it jacked up as high as I can. I've got some high lift jacks, SUV jacks, and I've got some jack stands underneath the suspension just to back up the SUV jacks. I'm just going to leave all four things in there. I hope I've got it high enough up to drop the tank, and the fuel pump goes in on top of the tank. So here we go. Another view of my setup, and it's starting to rain. It's only supposed to be showers today, light showers. I hope the weatherman got it right today. Anyway, I'll be under the car most of the time. But if the water starts flowing down the street, I might get wet. First thing to do is undo the big fuel filler hose, and then there's another small hose also. So let's get under there and do that. Okay, next thing you have to do is disconnect the fuel filler hose and this other hose that I'm not sure what that does. Somebody posted up in the comments about what that smaller hose is. Anyway, I found them easier to take off on the tank end rather than the other end. Goes to metal continuation pipes that go up to the filler, and I think that it came off of the plastic. It would slide off of the plastic easier than it would slide off of the metal. Even though the metal ones, the screws were pointed down, and then on the tank ones the screws were pointed up, but I was able to get to them anyway. So that's your next thing. The next thing are these two big metal straps. They way over on the driver's side. There's, let me see if I can get a good shot at it. There's the bolt for the rearmost strap, and the frontmost strap, excuse my panning there, I already took it off right there. That's the frontmost strap, and they're bolted on one side and they're just hooked into a little slot on the other side. So they just come off like that. There's the front one. Okay, now here's the thing. If there's any gas left in this tank, gas weighs 6.8 pounds per gallon. So if you've got 10 gallons in, that's 68 pounds that you're going to be taking it on your chest. If it's empty or nearly empty, which I think mine is, I did another video where I siphoned the gas out of this truck, and you can look at that video. I think I can handle it just with my strength, like a bench press kind of thing. If the tank is not empty, you need to put a jack under here. You need to put a piece of wood so you're not putting the jack up against plastic, and then you need to catch this weight as it comes down. I would suggest you empty the tank using a siphon or whatever. There's some other means of emptying the tank. But, so there you go. You get two choices. Okay, I'm going to try and catch it on my chest. The tank is now down on one end. There's a cross member in the front, and the tank will be on a ledge, like a little ledge area of that cross member. Make sure that you are handling the tank so that it stays on that ledge. You want it on that ledge. If the whole thing falls down both sides, you're liable to, you're going to maybe jam up these fuel lines or these electrical lines. There's fuel lines and electrical lines here. So you have to kind of push, let me see, like this. Keep it pushed towards the ledge so that it stays on that ledge, and the back end is the end that comes down. Now, if you've got more than about 5 gallons of gas in this, think about it. All the gas is going to go to this end, and it could splash out here. That's why I really strongly recommend that you siphon out most of the gas. It's a 30-gallon tank. I think I got 27.5 gallons out. It was full when my fuel pump failed. So I didn't get any splashing out here, but if you don't have it pretty empty, you might get some splashing, and gasoline all over the place is not really pleasant. Now, what I'm going to do now, before I touch any of the fuel lines or electrical lines, I'm going to disconnect the battery. That's just a safety thing. I could have done that before I even started, but now I'm going to do it before I touch any electrical. Yeah, just disconnect your negative right there, okay? So, this is important. Pay attention. The 2 electrical connections at the gas tank, one of them has a clip like this. You see it? I'm not at the gas tank now. I'm on a fuel injector, coil actually. But this is the kind of clip, so you have to move this clip like that to get it off that direction. So that's one of them. The other one is like this. This is on my my air intake area. And this one, you see that little white dot in the middle? That's the release. You have to press that down and then pull this off. Alright, and I'm showing you these up here in the engine because it's just a really bad angle to shoot it down underneath the car. But those are your 2 clips. Alright? Pay attention, you won't have to fight them. I'm having a little trouble with the fuel lines and the electrical lines. My truck has this, it's some sort of a protection that protects the drive shaft, I think, or protects the fuel tank from the drive shaft or stuff that might bounce off the drive shaft. I don't know. This is the Z51 off-road version, so your Suburban might not have this, but mine does. So I'm going to take this off. It's just 4 little push clips, and I took a pair of needle nose and pried them off, and I'll be able to put this back on without any problem. So I'm just going to take it off so I can get some more access. Okay, so here's where we are right now. I've got the fuel lines disconnected. I haven't pulled them off of the hard metal parts all the way yet, but I think I can get them off. The electrical is disconnected, and I want to show you one special thing about disconnecting the electrical. Hold on. Now, once you get that special white clip out, and I showed you how to do that. Remember, I went under the hood and I showed you how to do that. This black piece comes out, and the way you get it out, you have to squeeze this piece here and pull. Squeeze and pull. At first I thought you had to shove a screwdriver in and press down and pull, but that's exactly opposite. All that does is tighten up the latch. So squeeze here and pull, and it'll come off. Now, what I discovered is I've got the wrong part. When you order for a 2002 Suburban 5.3, you want oblong connectors, especially this one. And the part I got has a square or rectangular connector here. So I'm going to have to get another part. I think what I'm going to try to do is twist off this. This twists off. That's how you get it out. And I think I have enough room to put the new one in, to take this one out and put the new one in. And I'm going to tell you why I want to do it that way instead of dropping the tank, because there are a lot of emission control tubes, pipes hoses and lines and everything. There's a charcoal canister right up there, right in the middle of the screen, that rectangular thing. So I'd have to do a lot of disconnecting of that to drop the tank all the way down. And I'd just soon not do that. I'd just soon try and get it in here. I think I've got enough space to lift out that fuel pump and to put the new one in. That's why today I'm going to try and lift out that fuel pump. So let me give that a shot. There are two squared off notches. I'm going to try and get this close up right there. One of them has a slant to it that's not going to help you when you want to go counterclockwise to loosen up. But right next to it, there's a squared off notch. That's where you want to put your screwdriver, a long, big screwdriver and a hammer, and you want to knock it counterclockwise to loosen that ring. That's a lockdown ring. And I already hit it and I already got it loose, but I want to show you where it is. There's one on each side, 180 degrees apart. Okay, so there it is. You got to kind of tilt it, and some gas might spill out of it. Mine did not, but yours might spill some gas out of it when you're pulling it out of the tank. So anyway, I got it out, and now I'm going to seal up the tank because we're supposed to get rain, and I think it's going to be a couple of days before I get my new part. So just going to seal the tank up, and I will pick up where I left off for you guys and gals and finish this up in a couple of days. Okay? See ya. Okay, Froggy's back. This is the new correct fuel pump. It's an Airtex. Next to it is the original equipment one, and as you can see, you have to take the float and attach that. That's no big deal. I'm going to give you a little side-by-side on what they look like. The original had a plastic top. This has a pressed metal top on it, and the springs, it's got a little bit of spring loading, so it goes all the way down to the bottom of the tank when you put it into the tank. External springs here. These springs are apparently inside the plastic. Wiring looks maybe a little smaller gauge, and the connection here soldered on. And this one looks a little more sturdy to me, actually, on the original one. But I'm going to put it in anyway. It comes with a gasket that I'll put here. Here's the old gasket there. It's pretty beat up. This is the locking ring that locks it down. So I just wanted to give you a little side by side on it. These will get used over again. These are the clips that hold the fuel lines on. Okay, so I got to go jack up the Suburban, and we'll get under there and put this in. Do a video for you guys and gals. Sorry about that. One more thing before I move along. The new one has 3 rubber feet down on the bottom. The old one didn't have anything there. This is a fuel strainer or screen, and I noticed that this one is just not even really a press fit. It just kind of sits in there. So I hope that goes in okay. I think it will. But it's a little bit cheap on this screener thing here. Not really caring about that too much. You might want to look at some other brands besides this Airtex one. I don't know. This is the only one I got. And this is the original. So I attach the float. It just clips in there. I put the new gasket on. to the new fuel pump. The easiest way is to come up from the bottom and make sure that this lip is facing up towards the top, not down that way. And then I reused these two clips that are going to hold the fuel line onto the fuel pump. So it's ready to drop in. Two hoses that go at the rearmost part of the tank. I'm going to use them over again. They look like they're in very good shape, and if they were to fail, they're going to be in an easy location to replace just the hoses without messing around with the tank. And I'll make sure I've got all the fasteners pointed in the right direction so I can just go underneath there and do that. I dropped the tank back down. I just had one strap. The back strap was holding it up. That's all. While it's waiting for my part. And what I'm going to do now, I need to put my, hold on, I need to put the light on this camera. What I need to do now, I don't know if my light went on or not. Well, I'm going to pre-position those two hoses up there. If you look at them, you see that I can put them on and then I can slide them back that way to give me a lot of clearance to get them onto the tank side. So I'm going to put them up there loose and slide them back past the position that they're ultimately going to end up in. That's just a little tip from Froggy. That's what I mean by pre-positioning those hoses, and I've shoved them towards the rear of the car as much as I can, and then I'll pull them forward when they go into the tank. And I've got my clamps on there. Not having any luck getting that fuel pump locked down with the locking ring. I need more room to work, so I dropped just the back part of the drive shaft for I think they're 12 millimeter bolts, and it wasn't as heavy as I thought it was going to be. So now I'm going to try again to lock that down. Yeah, there you go. Trying to lock that down with that locking ring. Let me say that as far as both taking out the old fuel pump and putting in the new fuel pump, drop the drive shaft, at least drop the back end of the drive shaft. It'll make life a lot easier. I wish I had done it to begin with, but hey, first time on this job on this vehicle, so I'm learning. Anyway, I got it in there now. Let me give you a little close-up maybe. Those tabs there have to start out popping up in that slot. So it pops up in the slot, and then as you rotate around, the tab locks down the locking plate. So okay, now we got to put the fuel lines back on. I think they'll just slide on there, and the electrical connections back on, and then we put the tank back up. Sorry for the shaking. I'm holding this with one hand, and that hand is tired. So, here you go. All back together. I stopped for a little lunch break. There's that little extra safety clip there, that white, it looks white right in the middle of the screen. Put that back in. Actually, what I did was I took a nice one from under the engine area where it's easy to get to, and I substituted the nice one for the one that got kind of beat up when I was taking it off. So now if it ever has to come off again, it's something that will be a little bit easier to use. So, and I also turned the key on before I put all this stuff back up that to hear the pump run briefly, and it did run. So I think we've got a good pump. Now I've got to shove the tank back up there, put the straps back on securely, and then drive shaft and all the rest. So let's get to it. Okay, let's get caught up. This protection piece goes on before the straps. The straps wrap over it And you might not have this. This might be just for the off-road version. See, the strap wraps over it. So now I am down to those two hoses there, and not a whole lot more than that. So let me get those hoses on. I greased them so that they slide on easy, and remember I shoved them back that way so that I'd have clearance here to get them over and that way. So let's do that. Got those tightened up. I might have gone the other way on that big one there, but whatever, I got it tight. Just got to put the drive shaft back now, and remember what I told you when I dropped it. It's easier all around coming out and going back in with the drive shaft off. Just take one end off. Start it. Turn the key half a dozen times, just on, off, on, off, on, off, because each one of those primes or it might fill up a little reservoir inside the fuel pump. I'm not 100% sure how those are actually constructed, but before you even try to start it, just give it 6 times. Try it. If it doesn't start, shut it off. Give it 4 more, 5 or 6 more. Try it. It should start right up. I didn't do a video before, but before it would only run for about 10 seconds and it would die out. It would get enough initial fuel pump fuel to start it, but it would run rough and then it would die out because the fuel pump would not continue to deliver the pressure to the fuel rail, and I think the pressure is probably somewhere between 40 and 60 psi, what you need to run the engine in a Suburban. So anyway, this looks good. It's low fuel because I drained it all out, so I got to put a can of gas back in there. I saved 1 can to get me to the gas station anyway, but it looked like it worked. So remember, take the drive shaft off. So give me a thumbs up or a like if this helps you out, saves you some money. I'm going to try and find out what a dealer would charge for a fuel pump job on a Suburban. I'm going to bet you right now, without even trying to find out, I bet you it's over $1,000 including the part. So this ran me $100 including the part and my labor. So there you go. Froggy does this stuff to try and help you guys and gals out. Give me a thumbs up or a like if it does, and subscribe to my channel if you want more. I will be doing more Suburban and whatever else is in my garage, the family garage. So see you later, guys and gals. Froggy out. Bye-bye.